Well, you may sit very comfortably at a fish restaurant or by a beach, enjoying the beautiful surroundings and all of the wonderful things that you can do in June. And we're in Gemini season, so it's a great time for communication, networking, connecting with other people, getting out, being sociable, learning from others, teaching others, having conversations, um, doing so many different things. Um, we have something super intense happening because Pluto is moving retrograde back into Capricorn on June 11th. And so Pluto, remember that back in 2008, Pluto entered Aquarius full time in November of that year. And then it stayed there until this year, until March 23rd of this year when it moved into Aquarius. And that transit was really about our ideals and our beliefs and what doesn't serve us and sort of how we want to appear in our communities, with our friends. What are our visions for the future? Um, and are we allowing ourselves to be our unique, authentic selves, and not having to fit into a certain way of doing things, and be true to who we are? It also is about, on the mundane level, decentralization and technology, and is it used for good or for evil? Um, that's also a big conversation with AI. Um, and so many new technologies will be coming out over the next 20 years when Pluto is in Capricorn, especially in the middle part of this decade, actually. There's going to be several trines from Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. It's really going to be a boost to technologies, innovations, inventions, um, communications. It's going to be huge. And it also relates to power to the people, where we're putting power back to, each other. And we're claiming our own power, and we're doing things that are true to us, but also how can we serve the group? How can we serve humanity? So, this year on May 1st, moved back. Pluto stationed retrograde. So Pluto goes retrograde about 5 months out of the year. Spends about some of the year retrograde where it's reviewing, reevaluating, revisiting territory that it already covered before. That's what planets do when they're retrograding. And it's a time to go inside of ourselves, review, meditate on, and reflect on, and really replenish our energies for when the planet goes direct. We can, we're more active, more outgoing, more, moving forward with our lives, etc., putting things into motion, making things happen more. Yeah. So, Pluto, is, you know, it's retrograding and it's reflecting on the Pluto issues and themes I'm going to be discussing. So, Pluto stationed retrograde on May 1st, in Aquarius, 0 degrees of the sign. On June 11th, it's going to move back into Capricorn. Then on October 10th, around that time of the month, it is going to station direct in Capricorn. It's going to continue slowly moving forward until January 20th, 21st of 2024. Right around that time in January next year, Pluto is going to fully re-enter Aquarius, and it's going to make a conjunction to the Sun, which I believe is going to be the 20th, 21st. It's going to be powerful. It really is. Yeah. So, Pluto's going to enter Aquarius. It's going to stay in Aquarius for most of next year, and for some time next year. I think, I have the dates for it. Let me just see if I can find those dates here. I have them written down for Pluto moving back into Capricorn next year. Okay, so Pluto goes back into Capricorn on September 1st, 2024, and it's going to officially enter Aquarius on November 19th next year. And Pluto officially entered Capricorn in 2008 on November 26th. So I have another video that I made on Pluto in Aquarius that you can go check out on my YouTube channel. So those are the dates for that. It's sort of, these movements, these back and forth movements between Aquarius and Capricorn is sort of a tearing down of the old. We're sort of tying up loose ends of the old world, the old paradigm, the old era, and then moving into the new. Because Aquarius is about the new. It is about what is novel, what is unconventional. It deals with the future. It deals with talking about New Earth and that whole conversation. Just the new world in general. Pluto is moving through these last degrees of Capricorn, early degrees of Aquarius, back and forth. It's saying we're not done yet. We're not ready to move into Aquarius yet. We still have some unfinished business, and so that's what Pluto's doing. Retrograding, going back into Capricorn, moving back into Aquarius. It's going to continue doing this for 2023 and 2024, when in November 2024, it's going to fully enter Aquarius, where it's going to stay for the next 20 years, starting in 2024. So Pluto in astrology is the planet of death. It deals with death, what has to die away for you to become reborn again, because it also deals with rebirth. The idea of emerging from the shadows of your being and becoming someone brand new again. But that only happens through serious transformation and serious work on yourself. It also deals with evolution. And in order to evolve, you have to be aware, and you have to face your truth. You have to face what is really going on inside of you. Pluto digs up any secrets or any lack of accountability and truth on the collective and also individual level. Pluto demands that you look at it, that you face it, you acknowledge it, and then you heal and you change, and you don't stay the same person that you were. It's becoming someone better than you are now. It's about shedding skin and emerging as someone who has gone down that path of of evolution. So that's what Pluto is about. It also deals with power. Pluto was discovered around the time when World War II was starting up, and you have Hitler, you have Stalin, all these people coming to power, and also how power is used for good or for evil. Um, and people who are very Plutonic hold a lot of power, um, in them. And it deals with you being very powerful and being very, resilient and strong, to be vulnerable about your feelings and to do that work to transform. Um, so there is definitely positive sides to Pluto, but the downsides of Pluto are very obvious and very clear. And yeah, so, dealing with Pluto and Capricorn, on the mundane or collective level, this deals with power, of governmental structures, institutional structures, top down, where some people at the top are very rich and hold a lot of power, and other people at the bottom are lower. In terms of power, think about the American Revolution, think about the French Revolution, and those profound periods in history where you're really digging deep into what was going on at the time. You can find that the British held more power over the Americans and who they wanted to be as a sovereign nation. They felt they had the right to be their own nation, be independent, make their own rules, freedom, liberty, justice for all, independence. These are all very Aquarius themes here. And that, Pluto also, in Aquarius also stimulates the need for a revolution also. So yeah, and so that was a big revolution. And Pluto is at the end of Capricorn, the beginning of Aquarius. Of course, the U.S. Pluto return, where we're digging up any secrets, and um, we're really changing and really digging up anything that doesn't serve America as anymore, and what is going on with America as a nation. And there's many other astrologers that will talk about the U.S. Pluto return, in detail and what that is all about, and it's still ongoing. It really is. So that U.S. Pluto return is at the very sort of end of Capricorn, beginning of Aquarius. It's that just general broad stroke of that Pluto return. So the French Revolution was another one where, again, power to the people kept coming up with people being rich, and that whole, aristocracy system, where people at the wealth had a lot of power, wealth, and what about all the common people? That's a huge part of Aquarius energy, the power to the common, to the everyday person. And so, yeah, so it deals with, the patriarchy, very traditional systems of power. That's what Capricorn deals with, because it also deals with tradition, the way that things have always been, such as kings or queens in England, and that whole system where, it is tradition that the oldest son then inherits the throne and becomes king in this whole system. So it deals with traditional systems of power, but with Pluto, it's about those systems of power that don't work for us anymore. Now, another piece of this is the rich getting richer, the rich accumulating more wealth and money. And there was the global financial crisis with the banks back in 2008. And that, that event, and those things occurring at that time, um, accumulating large amounts of wealth and money, and people keeping it to themselves as opposed to sharing it, as opposed to putting others first, as opposed to leaders serving humanity and serving the masses, and doing something compassionate prosperity is what I'm doing, serving, that, is it the highest good for all? Is what I'm doing, is what those leaders are doing, when you talk about politics or people in power, is it for the highest good of all? And maybe when Pluto entered Aquarius, people have become more powerful, more in control. But the positive side of Pluto in Capricorn is inner authority, really tapping into your own inner authority, that you're not going to allow these external figures and people define your life, your choices, what you want to do, your destiny, your calling, what path you want to go on, the choices, what you want to make, the dreams that you want to see come to being reality. It's where you can step into your own sovereignty. And those top-down structures are, sort of collapsing, and it's sort of a, demolition site, if you will. Pluto in Capricorn is sort of, a wrecking ball that's taking down that demolition site. So anyway, we're building something new for the greater good and for our future. So yeah, harnessing personal power, empowerment, empowering ourselves, really stepping up to the plate and leading our own lives, taking charge of our own lives, and co-creating and creating our own destiny. That's a huge part of the higher vibration of Pluto energy. Pluto, in Capricorn, deals with any secrets, and any obsessions and desires that these powerful people in authority have. It's just, what the planet is about, and then how that planet expresses itself via whatever sign it is in. So obsessions, what you're obsessed about, of what people in power are obsessed about attaining, and will stop at nothing to attain. Pluto energy is, it rules Scorpio, and it's a fixed water sign that deals with the desires that you have, and that you're stopping at nothing to achieve those desires. You will destroy people at worst, and you will do anything it takes to get what you want, and get what you desire. So that's Pluto energy and Scorpio energy. And with Pluto retrograde, it's sort of a time to do shadow work, to really look at the shadowy aspects of ourselves, and to face them and to integrate them. Because it's not about bypass, it is about doing the work and facing those shadows and reflecting on our wounds, reflecting on those darker parts of ourselves that, we want to disown, that we dislike, that we, hate, want nothing to do with, that that we wish did not exist, or such as any, toxic pattern we have, or any, recognizing that we are light, recognizing that we are perfectly imperfect, and, definitely doing that shadow work on ourselves and integrating what it is that we're feeling is super important here. And that's a huge part of Teal Swan's work, who is a spiritual teacher on, she has a massive following on YouTube, and she is about shadow work and integration. That's, a huge part of what she does. Yeah. So, healing and regeneration, only through that work, only through evolution. You're not going to snap your fingers and your life is going to be changed and healed. It takes work and it takes time. And it takes day by day, step by step. to heal, to, you know, to transform. Yeah, revealing secrets of the rich and powerful. Um, you know, there was a book that I was reading a long time ago, and it was called The City of Ember. And in this book, it is about this underground city that is functioning on lights, like like street lights, and a generator to provide light. And because of a certain layer that was destroyed off of the earth, in order to protect the people and their well-being, people went underground, and then this whole city, established itself. And then it had an expiration date of it would only last for 200 years. That time was coming to a culmination in this book. And then there was this metal box that was handed down from tradition, because we're dealing with Capricorn, handed down from one leader to the other, to protect it and keep it safe. And so one leader, when he got his hands on it, kept it, tucked it away, and was the ruler of the city of Ember until that 200-year expiration date. And instead of serving and putting his desires before his own, with great power comes great responsibility, and any good leader will serve the people, he kept so much food and so many resources to himself, instead of sharing it and distributing it and giving it to the people that needed it. So that's a little issue with it's digging up those secrets of people in power. And intensity is another part of it, because Pluto is a really tense energy, with people in power being very intense. And so there's also a song by Barbara Streisand. It was called Don't Lie to Me, and it entails Donald Trump, President Trump, who was the president for a period of time. And that's a sort of big issue that Pluto, because his election was when Pluto was in Capricorn, and he really did not do America justice with how he ruled. And so he did not do his job. There's a part of him that I don't want to say anything, because I don't want to make any, I want to be accurate, so I'm not going to say anything more. And this is controversial, the political topic, and it's certainly a hot button issue. So Don't Lie to Me, that song by Barbara Streisand, is sort of about Trump and his power. And you can go on and listen to that song and watch that song. And it's basically saying, be true, be honest. Don't lie, don't keep anything, back from me. And, own your word, own your actions, because Capricorn is really demanding that you take ownership and responsibility for your actions. It's a huge part of it. So that is that, description, that, in Capricorn really is about maturity. And it does take you to own your actions, and that is something very mature to do. And Capricorn is, spiritual in its own way as a sign. Now, I also want to spend another sort of the last part of this video discussing something super significant happening in July of 2023 of this year, which is Pluto squaring the lunar nodes. This is an aspect that happened at 0 degrees of Aquarius when Pluto was at 0 degrees of Aquarius, squaring the lunar nodes in Taurus and Scorpio at very early degrees of their signs. And so this time around, the lunar nodes are going to be moving into Aries and Libra. I'm going to be doing another video all about this transit. And it's going to be super exciting when the North Node hits 16 degrees of Aries, which is the degree of my Sun sign. And the North Node is conjunct my Sun. That's going to be huge, for me personally. But, with my own astrology. So, the lunar nodes will move into Aries and Libra, and they move retrograde. So they are going to move at 29 degrees. They're going to start their transit at 29 degrees of Aries and Libra. And Pluto is going to be at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So we get two different versions of this. We get Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and the lunar nodes at very early degree of Taurus and Scorpio, fixed signs. And then Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto in Aries and Libra, which are all cardinal signs, cardinal energy. Squares are tense aspects that indicate a lot of tension. The planets sort of fight each other. They don't necessarily get along. There's just a resistance. It's challenging. It indicates something that's getting stirred up in order for action, in order for growth. This feels uncomfortable. Something has to give. Let's make a change. That's what squares demand that we do as individuals and as a collective. So this square is really happening in July of 2023. As I said before, and now the lunar nodes, I have a whole nother video about this. But in summary, the lunar nodes are points of fate and karma. The south node is karma. The north node is dharma. The south node is the emotional memory that we're bringing into this life. It is what we are so used to and so also conditioned into on a soul level. It is ingrained in us, but it is holding us back, and there's something that doesn't work for us anymore, that is keeping us from the north node, finding growth, opportunities in our life, meaning in our lives, transparency to be ourselves, to move to the highest level and to the highest calling, and really find a sense of purpose in our lives. That's that north node energy. And so Pluto really is sort of an excavator that digs up truth. It, again. So this is a choice point for humanity and for us, as a whole. Are we going to stay in these old ways of being? Or are we going to choose to move into something better, into something new that is better for humanity? So this is again emphasizing healing wounds. This is about doing things for ourselves that are better for ourselves and for others. So, what do we want for our future as a humanity? This is great to sort of contemplate and meditate that. Where the time is now, let's move into the future. Let's grow, and let's move into the age of Aquarius, into these new ways of being. Those, the judgments that we have for other people, the conditioning that we were taught and that we were trained as a, child, that, follow the rules, obey authority, do this, do what you need to do, restrictions, limitations, all these kind of things, those hold us back from us living our truth and being authentic to who we are. So looking at how we are, not just, because there's nature versus nurture. We became who we are through, family or, parents. I was reading something, about this from, I think it was Astro Butterfly, I believe it was called. And she was, this article was talking about, it was talking about how we are conditioned to become based off of our parents, our, our family, and our genetics, and how we are created to be that, certain, we have certain relationships and certain experiences and certain things happen to us. And I have a little segment video that I did, the other day about fate versus free will. And the North Node is sort of a fated point in astrology. So, sort of, our soul incarnated into this life to have these parents, have these relationships, have these set of circumstances, that whole deal. So, and for a reason. A big question here is what we do and how it can hold us back. Patterns, ways of being that hold us back from living the life that we want. This is a time to release what no longer works for us anymore. That North Node, or known as Rahu, is about achieving what was meant for us and achieving what we want to do, to find that gain, to find that sense of direction that we want to move towards. So what do we want to set out to achieve for ourselves that is meant for us, a new career or a new field, or, a dream job, or a goal that you want to achieve in your life. This is where you can really manifest it and make it happen. Now, also, other themes with this is stripping, this, what I was reading was also talking about, the new human, the real human, who we are for who we are, and don't we want to be loved for who we are, and, not, how others necessarily define us, and mold us into being like, oh, get this job, have this, profession or whatever, but, who we truly are as a human being, and how interconnected we are with our fellow human beings living a spiritual experience. So our sense of humanity, love, understanding, open-mindedness can become heightened, and we can cultivate more of that during this time. Because Aquarius is about being one in humanity. And Pluto in Aquarius, over the next 20 years, we really can become that over a very gradual amount of time. All these low frequency judgments, the, corruption, the power over, the, war, violence, all these things has to die away. All these, shadowy patterns and these whole hamster wheels of what we have done on a collective level have to die away. They have to dissipate and fade away. Because, yeah. So that's really toxic masculinity, and we can move into something more feminine, something more spiritual. We're all holding that loving, compassionate space for one another. So, and yeah, so it also deals with that. Our responsibility, what are we responsible for? Becoming more self-sufficient, becoming more empowered to be who we are. And looking at the power dynamics in the world, how are they serving us? And the power that we put out. How are we using our power? Is it for good, or, is it for not so good? What is our power over other people? Is it negative manipulation, or is it for the good? Is it to uplift? Is it to inspire others, lead others to live better lives, brand new directions, become better, etc.? The last little note with Pluto squaring the lunar nodes is being the change that you want to see in the world, about you taking action. And okay, this, you feel passionately about this issue, let's say, and now it's time to make something happen and change this for the better. And this doesn't have to necessarily be a big thing, or you don't necessarily have to do this in a big way. It can be just something small that you want to see different, like a community issue where there's an injustice, or all these big issues. What can you do to help climate change? What can you do to help racism? All of these big Aquarius issues that are really going to be put under the microscope when Pluto digs up those issues in Aquarius. So, being the change you want to see in the world, um, you know, and you not looking for other people to do it for you, but about you, finding the courage and confidence and belief in yourself to contribute, to do something to better your life and others, the lives of others around you. Because we can, we really, how can you serve? We really, a huge part of our lives is service. You're doing something that's true to yourself, but also, in turn, how is it serving and helping other people? So it really is both and. That is my take and interpretation on this Pluto retrograde into Capricorn. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you can step into the awareness of this transit. Take care.